All right, cool. What's good, everybody, and welcome back to another breakdown video. So we're gonna break down today trade the setup that we just took right now with gold, which played out amazing, playing out for a 102.9 risk to reward. So we got so close to hitting that final take profit. This is where I told everyone to close out majority of the profits. But price action does look like it ended up rejecting off this entire London highs, right? So notice how price action attempted to break above these highs multiple times. So we have like, 3 attempts here. We got the full break, but then price action, failed to close above these areas, trading back inside these ranges, right? So at the moment right now, price action just bouncing off of 1.2 another point. So technically doing the same thing that it did earlier today during the New York session open, which price action was bouncing from these highs, bouncing from these lows over here. That's exactly what price action is doing right now. We're bouncing from these exact highs over here, which is going to be considered the London highs, sitting at the 3480, as well bouncing down with these current New York lows, which is going to be set at around the 3475. So this is the zone that price action is currently stuck in, right? This is where I told everyone that I may be looking for a second entry opportunity. And the only way that I would look for a second entry opportunity will simply be if price action can give us a proper break, a retest of these entire zones over here, and if price action can maintain itself above it, then this most likely where I will be entering a second entry position, and then my stop loss will be placed underneath these exact ranges. So it will be something similar to this, and then our overall take profits. We can obviously take profit one here, which will be a 101, which will be around 80 pips, and then obviously we'll be targeting over a 1 to 3 risk to reward, which will be our full take profit. Potentially can even make the all-time highs, right? Now obviously I'm going to explain to you guys this entire setup over here and explain to you guys exactly where price action did end up meeting and what we can expect for these next couple of days with gold. So going into today's session, right, look at this, we're having a nice push right now, which is amazing. With this setup here, currently sitting at $500, which is what I'm currently sitting at right now. 500. So we have $500 currently running, and then secured. I already secured over 1,167. You guys can see that, and then as well, as always, there's always proof everywhere. Never line up or making up these things. So I'm gonna give you guys the analysis, the full breakdown of this entire setup that we end up taking this morning. Very simple. So we're gonna start off from a higher time frame perspective, which will be the daily time frame. So first thing first, what I wanted you guys to notice, right, which is the entire daily structure, right? We've been going on this since last week. Last week we've been going over this entire breakdown, showing you guys this entire higher low legs, higher low legs, higher low legs being formed, showing us that a lot of bullish order are being placed, right? Now, if we take a look at from this entire perspective, which is today's market, notice how gold had a very nice bullish impulse towards the upside coming into the new all-time highs, which is going to be set around the 3490, right? Which is this entire highs over here. So price action, once again, after this here, this was April 22, which is where price action did come in from last month, or this was actually a few months ago, April 22, where price action made the first all-time highs. And then finally, we come back towards the all-time highs again this month. So as of right now, we're seeing the price action is currently rejecting off the all-time highs, which will be the swing highs for today, sitting at the 3480, which is this swing highs over here. And then we also have the swing lows, which is the current low that price action made today as well, which is going to be set right over here at the 3469 or 3470, right? So again, going back into a higher time frame perspective, we're very bullish on the daily time frame. We're very bullish on the weekly time frame. If we take a look at the monthly time frame as well, the monthly from last month, which was what was last month, August, we finally closed a very strong bullish candle closure, right? So we've been going over the monthly, candles over here, the past couple breakdowns as well with the live calls. You can see how the past couple months we have seen gold, never closing a proper candle. Always been an indecision candle, right? Not really telling us, hey, price is going to be heading towards the upside, or hey, price is going to be heading towards the downside. There's been a lot of wick rejection towards the upside, a lot of wick rejection towards the downside. Till August, we finally got a very nice bullish candle closure, which is very good, which is a very good sign as well. We'll go here on the weekly time frame. What do we notice on the weekly? The weekly time frame, we also notice that price action. If we take a look at last week candlesticks, right, we did notice that last week candlestick we have broken out of this entire ranges, right? So check out the pattern. Look at the pattern. We have this entire resistance over here, which is going to be around the 3370. We did see that price action broke above it. We came back, retested all of these entire previous weekly highs, which is going to be set right over here, guys, at the 3360 areas. 3360 area, we came back, retested, respected these entire lower time frame demand zone. So if we go down here to the 4-hour time frame perspective, this is the entire push that I'm talking about. So we have the full rejection, which is going to be right over here. We also have the other rejection, which is going to be set right over here. So this is more looking at it at a deeper analysis, deeper push, right? This is obviously not something that came out from today, but this is something that we're looking at it at the overall market direction, right? So we go back here in the weekly time frame. What do we notice? We have the first bounce of this entire demand zone, which is the first major rejection. You see this? And then what do we have next? We have the break out of this entire areas of resistance, right? You see that? And then you can also see how price action on the weekly time frame, we broke above it, we retested it, we rejected it, close above it. Once again, we come back to retest this exact zone. Price action does a similar exact move. We reject it, maintain itself above. The next week candle, which was last week, finally had the nice bullish move, breaking out of this entire previous highs over here, and as well breaking above these entire previous highs over here. Right, so that's exactly the new high that price action made in today's market, or the new low that the market made today. So we go down to a lower time frame perspective. Let's go back into the 4-hour time frame. This low over here, which was the market open, right? If we take a look at the left side, where exactly the price action had a bounce from, we started having a bounce from these exact highs over here. So again, these previous highs over here was once an area of resistance. If we take a look more on the left side, let's see if we have more price action structure. Look at this, we have another areas of resistance, other areas of supply. So we have all of these areas over here, which price action at one point did use it as selling opportunities, right? We also have this one, which pretty much gapped it, never really tapped into the areas of interest. It gapped it, but it will also be valid as well, which is your respective zone. We did see that last week candle on Friday. We did see a nice break above it, which is technically this market open. Price action came back to retest this entire zone. This is exactly where price action didn't manage to build up that, support foundation, which is going to be set right over here at the 34.40, right? So this is the first support foundation that was price action formed this week. So this will be considered as the, the weekly lows. After the weekly lows, what do we have next? We start having a nice bullish bounce towards the upside. So we understand that obviously aggressively that bullish, the market bullish is aggressively, right? We're breaking above all of these entire structures. On top of that, we look at last week's structure. You guys can clearly see as well how price action was perfectly creating higher highs and higher lows, breaking above all of these highs. So pretty much the pattern is just repeating itself over and over again. So in today's market, it was very simple the way that I marked it up. This is the levels that I had marked up as well in the London session. London, we did take a trade. We did end up hitting take profit 1. Unfortunately, it did end up hitting stop loss. The New York session, we re-entered the same exact buys, which we end up making back the losses plus more in profit. So I'm happy with that. You guys just saw the recovery as well. But going into today's market session, right, these are the only things that I marked up. I marked up the swing high, which is the current high as well, which is going to be at the 34.88. I also marked up the current swing low, which is going to be marked up around the 34.70. So again, this is the Asian session lows. We did see a price session form the Asian session highs over here. Price action comes back towards here during the London session. So this swing lows over here will be considered as the London session. So we saw that price action maintain itself above these areas of support. You see that? As well, rejection of these entire VWAP, showing us that again, buyers are stepping into the market. Buyers are holding these zones very nice. If the VWAP over here was above the candles, something like this, right, above the candle, and start having a switch of structure and a retest of that switch of structure and maintain itself underneath, then that will be the worst case scenario that we will be looking for the selling opportunity, right? So this is what I tell you guys, you can never react off sells or buy just because of the first reaction. So just because price action had a reaction off a major resistance zone, which is also considered as all-time highs, and had the drop, there's no necessary ways for us to sell the market. Market is still holding above these lows over here. So whenever price action is trading above lows, lows are also considered areas of support or areas of demands. We are respecting it, meaning that buyers are still holding these levels, right? So again, going back into this levels over here, we did see that price action respected it one time. Comes back again during the London session, respected it. What we waited for in the London session was simply the pullback. So our entry in the London session was this setup right over here. We waited for price action to maintain itself above it, and we waited for price action to give us that minor pullback. Maintain itself above these entire minor lows over here, which is the Asian session, the start of the Asian session of the volume, right? Price action came back, maintained itself above it. It did held above it, so we did see that kind of push towards the upside. My entry was after the closure, which was around the 34.77. It did play out for TP1. We failed to break above these highs over here, and then price action once again started having the retracement towards the downside. Now again, notice this was the early New York session. This is more of the pre-New York session. Price action comes back, we retested these levels again, another rejection, and then we also have another rejection right over here. So we have 3 rejection showing us a triple at the bottom, right? Showing us that price action is holding this level above perfectly, maintaining and respecting this entire support zone, respecting this entire VWAP, showing us that buyers are still holding these levels. So all we simply waited for, we just entered the market with this bullish engulfing candle once price action ended up coming and taking off these entire highs, or coming back down over here and taking down all of these entire lows. So we go into the 15-minute time frame. You guys can see how that 15-minute time frame, they close a very nice wick rejection towards the upside. So all we waited for, again, this was the liquidity sweep, sweeping off these entire lows over here. We go back into the 5-minute time frame. All I waited for was for a bullish engulfing candle signal. And that's exactly where I entered the market, which is this bullish engulfing candle. So we got that sweep off these entire lows. We got the rejection of the VWAP, rejection of that support, perfect candle closure above the areas of interest, and that's exactly where we entered the market. The market was ranging up and down for a little bit until we finally got the full move that we wanted. Now check this out. Price action is coming towards these areas of the highs over here, which is the London highs. Like I explained earlier, price action is currently rejecting it. We're still overall bullish with the markets, but currently we are rejecting that New York high. So this is exactly where I told everyone to secure majority of the profits, right? And this is the reason why. The reason why is because, again, we have seen that price action rejected off this zone twice. We did see that that sellers are holding these levels pretty solid. So what is the chances, the probability of price action coming back towards this level and pretty much doing the same exact thing? Obviously, there's always going to be there, right? So we got the rejection towards these levels over here, and price action is currently trading underneath it. So right now, our runner is currently up we're currently up in our runner at a 101 risk to reward. The goal, obviously, is to hit the final take profit. We have secured already a good 102.9. This is majority where I secured my profits. The goal here will be if price action can maintain itself above these ranges over here and give us that proper breakout, this is where we will be looking for the second entry opportunity. Now, since we already recovered the losses and we made back the losses and we closed with profits this week or this day so far, if price action takes us out of break even, and on top of that, today is a bank holiday. So if price action does end up taking out a break even, we're going to call it a day and we're going to come back tomorrow. But I will be very interested in taking that second entry only if we get exactly what I want. If we don't get that, then I won't be entering a trade. If we get stopped at a break even, I'm calling it a day. Again, it is a bank holiday. So realistically, we were never supposed to be trading, but we got a good setup. So very happy with today's results. I hope you guys enjoyed this breakdown and understand exactly everything that I was looking for. We're going to continue with this breakdown tomorrow, and we're going to continue with the full trade tomorrow as well. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.